Honorable Madam Speaker, Honorable Acting Prime Minister, Honorable Leader of Opposition, members of the House, thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to speak on this topic, Nadi River Basin and the flood mitigation strategy in Nadi town. But before I do that, Madam Speaker, I take you back to earlier this week when I mentioned in one of my statements that work is in progress at Siberia with regard to drainage work. A day later, Honorable Bolitavo came in and said that he went there and there was no work at that area. Madam Speaker, unfortunately it's misleading to this House, Madam Speaker. I just want to inform the House, Madam Speaker. Just today at 3 o'clock, work at Siberia is completed, 2 kilometers of new drain, 2 kilometers of new drain, and 2 kilometers of desilting of creek, Madam Speaker. Thank you. So, Madam Speaker, get your facts correct when you speak in this House. Madam Speaker, ever since its establishment in 1947, Nadi town has grown to become a significant municipality in Fiji. Nadi town is also well known as a tourist town, and the greater Nadi area is more generally considered the tourist hub of Fiji. Madam Speaker, Nadi area now has a higher concentration of hotels, motels, and budget accommodation than any other part of Fiji. In addition, the presence of Nadi International Airport within town's boundary makes it a tourist gateway and one of the two main ports of entry to Fiji. Madam Speaker, the growth of Nadi town as a tourism hub is supported by the transportation sector through the Nadi International Airport and the Dendro port. The town centre, nearby urban and peri-urban settlements, provides for major backward and forward linkage to the tourism sector. Madam Speaker, the growing tourism sector has attracted new population and households in Nadi, with the latest census revealing that the new population in Nadi urban area, which was 45,000 in 2017, which was 15,220 in 1986, has risen to 45,000 last year, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, amongst other issues, flooding in parts of Nadi town and settlements around the Nadi town area has been a cause of increasing concern. This is because of the severity and impacts of the flooding on the business sector, the households and urban infrastructure, including roads, which is alleged to have worsened, and the return period of these floods appear to be frequent. Madam Speaker, there's a plethora of studies on the possible causes of this, and researchers have noted that the following causes are contributing factors. Madam Speaker, one, that Nadi town is located very close to Nadi river bank and is a very low-lying area. Two, that vegetation cover, both downstream and upstream, have thinned out, leading to rapid runoffs. Three, that land use practices within the Nadi River Basin, agriculture and forestry, and upstream deforestation and land degradation activities have deposited increasing amounts of sediments in the downstream river basin, leading to reduced capacity of the river to hold water. Four, that increasing variability in weather systems and apparent high intensity of extreme events have resulted in increased volume of water being discharged into the waterways. Five, that increased runoff with housing and more paved areas is happening. And lastly, that new settlements have disturbed natural waterways and have not catered for drainage of water into the waterways. Madam Speaker, Nadi town, together with Dendro and the Nadi International Airport, is situated in the lower and flat plains of Nadi River Basin, making the location prone to flooding. The length of Nadi River is around 62 kilometers long, where about 2/3 of this length is generally flat, and the other 1/3 rises abruptly to form a steep topography. This means the flood runoff from rainfall travels fast from the mountains to the flat plains of Nadi River, but slows down as it travels through the flat plain to the river mouth. Nadi River drains an area of 516 square kilometers. It flows east to west from the Nalatu Range through the Nosuri Highlands, down the Nadi Valley into the South Pacific Ocean. The upper part of the basin is steep with many rocky outcrops, whereas the lower basin is covered by small hills and dominated by flat alluvial terrains at the valley bottom. Madam Speaker, Nadi River has three major tributaries, the Namosi, Nawaka and Malakula River. Namosi River meets Nadi River at 15 kilometers upstream of Nadi town, while the confluence of Nawaka and Malakua River is 1.5 kilometers downstream of Nadi town. Madam Speaker, various studies such as the JICA 2016 report on Nadi watershed management noted that the highlands of Nadi River Basin are covered by natural vegetation and pine plantations, while the middle reach is covered with grassland and patch like sugarcane farms. Madam Speaker, the forest area covers 48% of Nadi River Basin. Sugarcane fields cover the flats in the lower reach and mangrove forests in the lowest area near the coastline. The lower area of Nadi River Basin is also being used for tourism development and expansion of Nadi town area. The majority of the town lies within the Nadi River floodplain. The dense natural forest, which covers about 3,943 hectares, is identified only as the watershed of the Waturu Dam and the upper reach of the two tributaries, Mosi watershed, Nawaka watershed. Madam Speaker, grassland covers around 11,455 hectares of Nadi River Basin, and approximately 13,200 hectares is used for agriculture, in which 70% is made up of sugarcane fields, and 30% constitute other crops. Madam Speaker, urbanization of the lower Nadi area is gradually increasing, and settlement boundaries are expanding, taking over land which was previously utilized for crop and grassland agriculture. So, Madam Speaker, effectively, with this development, we're losing more and more land area, or moving them out of covered grassland or crop, or deforestation into open spaces or commercial or construction or industrial areas, which does not provide for absorption of rainfall water. Some of the major developments taking place in Nadi now includes the market extension refurbishment, new FNPF complex, Wailoloa subdivision, developments there, Madam Speaker, hotel development and convention center by SGV Group along the Nadi Way Road, 4-story commercial complex at Mahendra, industrial subdivision by the Namaka Land Development, and approximately 400 housing lots by Housing Authority at Matavolivoli subdivision. Madam Speaker, these developments in housing, commercial and industrial sector will further contribute to flooding in the area, because natural crop and forest cover which absorbs water is now removed, and natural tributaries are now disturbed, and more rapid runoff services are now created, while drainage systems are not adequately planned and developed, or existing drainage systems are not able to handle the new runoff water, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, flooding causes four major cost issues, Madam Speaker, but often when costing is done, flooding or natural disasters, only one is noted, Madam Speaker, and this is damage to the existing infrastructure and the stock. So normally whenever you see estimates of damage from a flooding or from a cyclone, etc., this is the main item that is being estimated. It is the damage to the existing infrastructure and the loss of stock, Madam Speaker, whether it's agriculture stock, livestock stock, or any other stock in business. But three other losses are not captured, Madam Speaker. The second one is a loss of future stream of income from the surpluses that would have been generated and reinvested, Madam Speaker. Third, loss of human life and loss of output for the remaining productive years out of this loss of human life, Madam Speaker, whether it's 40 or 10 people lost, etc. Their remaining active life and their contribution to output is not measured, Madam Speaker. And fourth, Madam Speaker, the deployment of existing resources to build infrastructure which would have been utilized to create new output, Madam Speaker. This is not factored in the estimation of loss arising out of a natural disaster, Madam Speaker. So often, Madam Speaker, and mostly you'll see, the actual loss from natural disasters are underestimated, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, often, so for example, Madam Speaker, in the January 2009 flood disaster, which was caused by an active depression through the trough, which stayed over Fiji Island from February 7th to 14th, the estimated damage was around 81.2 million. Madam Speaker, that was only the loss of infrastructure and stock, Madam Speaker. And similarly, the 2012 flood, which was caused by the tropical depression, the estimated damage was around 85 million. Again, Madam Speaker, that was way gross understatement, because these kinds of natural disasters disturb the actual growth trajectory of the country, Madam Speaker. So, in the absence of those kind of natural disasters, the growth trajectory would have been a different one, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, a comprehensive flood mitigation strategy was put in place beginning 2006, Madam Speaker, by the then Land and Water Resource Management Division of the Ministry of Agriculture, and included the following four components, Madam Speaker: construction of small retention dams, river dredging, riverbank protection, and construction of small retention dams. Madam Speaker, let me now elaborate on these four. Madam Speaker, on retention dams, the construction of small retention dams were introduced following the report on watershed management, Madam Speaker, for four major rivers in Fiji. The Nadi River Basin was chosen as a pilot project area where a series of small retention dams were constructed, mainly along the two major tributaries to Nadi River, the Mosi River and the Nawaka River. In the Nadi River Basin, typical problems such as the inundation of the floodwater, soil erosion and sediment deposits have occurred, and that is why this river basin was chosen as a pilot project, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, the retention dam is similar to like a hydro dam, but it's much smaller, Madam Speaker. Normally, hydro dams are quite large, and depending on the catchment size. But these are the smaller ones, which could be, let's say, a size of a half a playing field, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, so the purpose of the retention dam, differentiated from a hydro dam and water supply dam, is to for the purpose of flood control, is to retain the flood water and then release it slowly, Madam Speaker, rather than the entire volume of water flowing downstream, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, in 2006, a total of 4 retention dams were constructed in the Mosi and Nawaka River, and additional 2 dams is planned to be constructed in the upcoming financial year 2018-2019. Madam Speaker, regard to river dredging, this was again introduced as a flood mitigation strategy, and in the river dredging along the Nadi River estuary was conducted from 2008 to 2012, Madam Speaker, where a total of 1.65 million cubic meters of sediment was dredged, covering a length of 9 kilometers, Madam Speaker. From 2008 to 2010, the dredging was done in 3 phases, where 1.27 million cubic meters of sediments were dredged, covering a length of 9 kilometers. In 2012, after the major flood, a maintenance dredging work was carried out on the previously dredged channel due to the high concentration of sediments experienced after the 2012 flooding, Madam Speaker. The total volume dredged in 2012 itself was 370,000 cubic meters of sediments, Madam Speaker. So those who are arguing that, we're doing nothing, Madam Speaker, I think they should check with us and get the facts right, that this amount of major work has been undertaken, Madam Speaker, to ensure that we open up these rivers for water to flow, to ensure that they do have capacity to hold water, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, a resilient flood control master plan has been developed by the JICA, the Japan International Cooperation Agency, experts, Madam Speaker. The master plan was formulated following a 3-year flood disaster risk assessment study conducted for the Nadi River Basin and was completed in August 2016. The purpose of the flood control master plan is to improve the flood control measure in the Nadi River Basin through infrastructure improvements, including river improvement, thus contributing to the reduction of the flood damage and improvement of the living environment of the local residents, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, a comprehensive flood control plan, the Nadi River was divided into 3 sections, combining of flood control measures, and the study was developed on that. The proposed master plan, Madam Speaker, included both structural measures, which includes river widening, retarding basin, construction of dams, and surrounding dikes for villages, and river improvement, Madam Speaker, and non-structural measures such as improving flood forecasting, development of flood hazard map, and strengthening river basin management. The implementation of the Resilient Flood Control Master Plan, Madam Speaker, is not a 1 year, 2 year, 10 year, Madam Speaker. It's a long-term plan, Madam Speaker. It's a 30-year plan, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, looking at the longer duration needed to implement the master plan, and also taking into account the massive budgetary requirement for this implementation, which is costed, Madam Speaker, which is costed to be approximately $383 million, Madam Speaker. Some key priority projects were selected from the flood control master plan, which has been implemented, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, for river widening, the river widening has been recommended by JICA study. The river widening is to ensure that the river is able to, following simulation, Madam Speaker, simulation using data from the past floods. What is the total volume of water that will come from a flood, and what is the volume of water that the Nadi River is currently able to hold, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, with the data, at the current state, the middle reach of Nadi River can cater for flood volume of 360 cubic meter per second, which is 1/5, Madam Speaker, which is 1/5 of the estimated discharge of the 2012 figure, Madam Speaker, which is 1,470 cubic meter per second, Madam Speaker. So you can see, Madam Speaker, so the experts have said that at the moment we have the capacity of 1/5 of handling the discharge that was made in the 2012 flood, Madam Speaker. So what the JICA report is saying, Madam Speaker, that the Nadi River has to be widened to twice the existing width, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, that along with, Madam Speaker, dredging to increase the capacity for the water to hold, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the report also recommended construction of retarding basins. A retarding basin is an excavated area installed adjacent to the rivers and also upstream to protect against flooding by storing water for a limited period, Madam Speaker. This structure is sometimes called also detention ponds, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the report also recommended construction of surrounding dikes. A dike is an embankment, a levee, constructed along the banks of a stream or river for the purpose of protecting the land side from overflowing floodwater by confining the stream flow along the river channel only, Madam Speaker. The surrounding dike for Nadi River Basin is proposed to protect the Nadi town from overflowing floodwater from the Nawaka. During the JICA study, Madam Speaker, flood simulation showed that after widening of the Nadi River, part of the Nadi town will still be inundated, causing flood caused by the flooding water of Nawaka River, Madam Speaker. That's why they've suggested that we should construct surrounding dike, which has been planned for Nadi town, will be constructed along the Nawaka River bank, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the report also recommended for construction of ring dikes, Madam Speaker. So apart from the river dikes, the report also suggested construction of ring dikes along villages, Madam Speaker. So the JICA report has suggested that we should construct a ring dike along the Moala village, Madam Speaker. The report also suggested or recommended for the establishment of shortcut channels, Madam Speaker. This would also allow movement of water outside the river quite rapidly, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, in conclusion, the entire project is estimated to be around 385 million, Madam Speaker. We're looking at, Madam Speaker, getting the funding from the German Environmental Fund, Madam Speaker. The JICA Central also shown interest to provide some grant as well as loan, Madam Speaker, but we need to ensure that we get the funding first from the German Environmental Fund, which is the Climate Change Fund, Madam Speaker. And that fund, Madam Speaker, will be only given for certain aspects of this work, because only those aspects which falls under the ambit of Climate Change Fund, Madam Speaker. For example, they will not give money for construction of dikes, Madam Speaker. They will not give money for construction of retention dams, Madam Speaker. So that portion needs to be allocated for the climate change fund, and the remaining then could be allocated to other smaller donors and loan, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, this is an update on this project, and I want to thank you for the time.